afternoon. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio in Christ Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. So we are syndicated. And our podcast, I'd never had a podcast before.
Oh, that's a big thing now.
That was a big outreach, and so someone actually saw something they liked. It was probably you being on the show one day. He probably saw Phillip Gilliland. You're probably the reason. So anyway, we do have a podcast. Make sure you check out that website down there below, and you can connect with that anytime. We're on all the social media sites as well, so if you tried to get away from us, you couldn't, Phillip.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's not hard. It's not hard to find.
It's not hard. I have a very good friend, Phillip Gilliland, with me. He's with the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches. It's so good to be with you today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. My pleasure.
It's always so much fun. I learned so much. We go to Lookout Mountain Cowboy Church,
Yes.
and it's located kind of halfway between, kind of in Collinsville, kind of, but then
Yeah.
Lookout Mountain as well. Man, church is
Oh,
exploded.
well, and what a blessing. But there are several of our churches that are really like that. And so we see them around here. Well, a couple of Sundays ago, we had 180 at the trading post. And I know Lonesome Dove is going through that. Sand Mountain Cowboy Church in Boaz, the same thing is happening there. The Cowboy Church of Marshall County, Henniger, Crossover Cowboy Church, all of them are experiencing a tremendous amount of growth, and it's a wonderful thing. And I saw one of my dear friends is Tuffy Lofton out, and he lives in Centerville, Texas, and he pastors the Cowboy Church of Leon County. Centerville, Texas is about halfway in between Houston and Dallas. But Tuffy put a picture up of his church, and they built a new church 4 or 5 years ago. And he put the picture up Easter Sunday, and they were completely full. And what a blessing it is to see. Our church met with a group of churches for the sunrise service on Easter Sunday. That was our 9th year to do that on Easter Sunday. And it was that's a real treat because they do it at the Overlook in front of DAR School, and it overlooks all of Kennemer's Cove. It's a beautiful
it's a beautiful sight.
Oh, it is. And this was no exception. Sometimes, of course, it rained on Saturday most of the day. And it was cooler that morning, and you could just see the fog kind of rising up slowly out of the cove. But you're looking out over all of that.
You've never seen a picture that pretty.
Oh, I mean, you couldn't have drawn it up or made one. And I have that on my phone. I should send it to you. It's beautiful. But, there's several different denominations and pastors. We all meet there, and we pray and have a time of worship together, and then we went back to the trading post, and we had breakfast, and it was just a great thing. It's always good when you let down the walls or the barriers that keep us separated,
I think so too.
and you just become God's family, and that's what I love about it. It doesn't matter. Nobody knows what denomination anybody is. Nobody cares. They're just there to worship, and that's the way it should be. I love that. And that was our 9th year. Brother Tony Campbell was the pastor of the Methodist Church then 9 years ago that God gave this vision to, and he was there. He pastors a different church now, but he was still there. And man, it is always good to get together like that. But our churches are doing good. I'm excited about the new churches that are sprouting up still. We're still trying to get to all of those that are calling, and I told you I'll be headed to Montana here real soon, and I'm excited about that trip to visit and help do some training there. So we got lots of good things going on, and I think this weekend I'm going to see if I can still get on a horse, because we're doing a an outreach event, which is a trail ride at the state park in Gunnersville. And I know Jacob, my son, can get on one. I'm not sure I can. I hadn't got on one yet this spring, but I'm gonna see if I can't get back
I
up
got
on
a
one
feeling he can.
one more time and make one more ride. We're planning on about a 4 hour ride and having food and some other things. And I love what we do. On April the 22nd, there's a men's conference at Lonesome Dove Cowboy Church, and we're excited about that. Tim Collier's the pastor at Lonesome Dove. Man, it's that those things kind of bring us all together, all the men, and we have those. There's several of those scattered around. There, we did one earlier in the year at Thousand Hills up in Etheridge, Tennessee, and there was one in Enterprise, Mississippi at 3S Cowboy Church. Uh, it's just always a blessing when we all get together. And it's like the fifth Sundays. We've got a fifth Sunday in this month, and it too will be at Lonesome Dove. But your pastor is the one going to be preaching at that fifth Sunday, so that's another really neat thing that we get to do is on the fifth Sundays. Our regional churches here that are close together, we get together on a Sunday night and have food and worship, and we move it around to different churches. But so we start back over again now at Lonesome Dove again, and Brother Don Hutton will be preaching, and I look forward to that and all the things that we got coming up. This time of the year gets really busy. We've already had one for him rodeo, and with the next one, which is the first weekend in May, will be at the Trading Post. And at the first one, which was at Southern Cross a couple of weeks ago, there was 153 entries, 153 kids. I was really late getting home that night.
I have never seen so many kids that come to these churches.
Well, Jacob, he competes in two events. He competes in shoot dogging and steer riding. Well, it was way late when we got, but I wasn't going to leave, and I wasn't going to leave him. So we stayed, and he got to compete. He didn't win any money, but he had a really good time, and so I love what our churches do. The way we do outreach is just a little bit unique and different. But I'm telling you, when you're having an event and 153 kids show up,
that's something.
It's unreal. That's great.
And I had to tell you, when I was a kid growing up, you go to church and there was always a section, they call it the Amen section. The men would be on one side, the women would be on the other side. Well, you know who's in our Amen section?
Oh, it's your young people.
It's the kids.
I've been there.
Teenagers.
Yes. And
That's
and
really
they are
unheard of.
it's so exciting. But I think Robert and Selena are doing a tremendous job with them over at your church, and they're great people. Robert and I was in the truck together a couple of weeks ago and got to talk a little bit. He came to the elder conference at the Trading Post, and they were getting ready to do some pictures in Gunnersville, and I had to go that way. And he said, well, I rode with them over here. He said they were going to take me back by there. I said, well, you might as well ride with me because I'm going that way. And so he got in the truck. I don't remember even why I was going over there, but I had to go over there for something. And as soon as we had a good visit on the ride from Woodville to Gunnersville, and I just think the world of him. He is such a good guy, really good guy, a sweet couple to have in a church looking after your young people and encouraging them. Man, what a blessing that is. So.
Yeah, they put on an Easter pageant. And I'd never seen one like this before. And so they have curtains in it. You're only seeing shadows.
Yes.
And to me, it was more effective than spending all this money on outfits and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
You could get the whole gist
I
of the
saw
whole
it.
idea.
I looked at it. It was great.
Wow.
I watched it.
They did this for Christmas.
The live stream. I watched the live stream. I thought it was great. And I hadn't watched it before. I didn't see the one from Christmas, but I watched the one and I thought, wow, that's a good idea.
It's a wonderful idea. You could see the cross going up, and you could see, just their, there, it was just a
A shadow,
shadow,
yeah,
and
that
it's
showed.
just, it was very effective.
Yeah, well, I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I enjoyed watching it and
Mm-hmm.
listening to it. It was good.
Yeah, and then, I mean, kids are everywhere. And what I love about this church, because I was a young mom once, and the babies are going to cry. I mean, they're babies, you know. And I remember being so uncomfortable because, you know, people would turn around and stare. You know, Brad, you know, he acts like he's all that now, but he used to be a whiner.
Yeah, yeah,
He cried a lot in church for some reason, and it would make a mommy feel uncomfortable. So I've always, when I would see like today, like yeah, Sunday in church, there was a young mom had a little
mhm,
girl was being a little
yeah,
bit, you know, and so she looked at me and apologized. Her little girl kept wanting to go, you know, cross around my legs and everything, you know, moving around, and I said, no, we're glad to have young kids here. I said,
yes,
don't apologize. And I thought of you and I said that.
yeah. I always, and we have quite a few, and man, we I see such a blessing in it. And I'll tell you an example of it. But I always tell, I try to meet the young couples that have newborns or little kids, and I tell them straight up. I said, listen, if they get fussy, don't you worry about it. If they're not bothering me, we always we think that means there's life in our church, and we think it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Now, since we got the new building, we have if they want to leave them in there, they can,
Uh-huh.
and we have a children's church even for our young people, and two age group. We have three age groups that they can participate in something outside. But if
Hmm.
they want to sit in there with their
That's
parents,
good
and
too.
if they want to, yes, whatever they want to do, and if they cry if they if they're distracting me, it's not on them, it's on me.
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't bother me. I think it's a blessing to have that in your church. There's a young couple I'm thinking of, and I did their wedding several years ago, and they started coming to church probably a year ago, and they got a cute little girl, and she was so timid and shy, and she's between 1 and 2, and and when she first came there, she wouldn't talk to anybody, and she just clean. Now then, she runs around like she's been there all her life, and I love that
I love
because
to see
it
that.
has given her some confidence to be comfortable
Hmm.
around other kids and people, and well, I think it's we know what church is for. It's a place to worship and learn and to worship together, and
Hmm.
I get all that. But there's so many little things that can come out of that. And little Corey is a perfect example of it because when she first came there, she was so afraid of everybody, and now she'll she'll talk to you and she'll run around and play with the
I
kids.
love to see
So,
that.
I think there's some extra benefits that we don't always measure that come with having kids in church, but that's to me is the most fundamental important thing a parent can do. Make sure your kids know that you love them,
Hmm.
tell them you love them, and then take them to church and show God how much you love the blessing He gave you,
Hmm.
because that's what it is.
Hmm.
I'm with you. I think having kids in church is the best. And if you don't, and I have people tell me these stories all the time. Well, we don't have any young people at our
I
church,
hear that a lot.
and when you're down to where you've just got to, and one of my pastor friends yesterday told me at a funeral, he said, we don't really have any young people anymore. And he said, and every time they tell me that, I'm thinking, man, y'all are on borrowed time. If the Lord prolongs His coming, you
Hmm.
won't have. And the reason why I know this is so true is because we've moved cowboy churches into buildings that had been a traditional church before,
Hmm.
and they just
All of a
died out.
sudden.
They just died out. You got. I think the thing about cowboy church, and if we're good at anything, it's kind of taking down the barriers that make people feel uncomfortable. So if we're good at anything, we need to get rid of the barriers and make it easy for people to come to church, just like people went to Jesus, in
Hmm.
whatever shape they're in.
Hmm.
It doesn't need to be hard. You don't need to have an Easter dress to go to church, but because there's people out there that need Jesus, they don't have the money to buy an
Hmm.
Easter dress.
That's true. Phillip, we're going to have to go into a commercial break. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-27 2018. Okay, we are back. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio. We are your source for news and entertainment in Christ Radio. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. I have Phillip Gilliland with me right now. He's with American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches. I got to tell you something. People ask me some of the craziest questions about Cowboy Church.
Oh, I know. I've heard them all.
Do you ride horses in there?
Yeah.
I'll say, no, there's usually an arena for that.
Yeah.
No, churches don't, we don't ride.
And
cows don't come in. Oh, somebody asked if we worshiped cows.
yeah, I've heard that.
No, that's in India they do that.
Yeah.
It's called Hindu.
That's right. That's
So-
right. Then I had people to ask me, just dead serious, do you have to own a horse to come there? And I'm thinking, well, there's not 20% of the people that come there that have one. I don't get. There's 80% of the people that come there don't even own a horse. They just
And not everybody has a farm either.
no. And it tickles me because there's like 3 or 4 engineers in our church, and
right.
then you've got truck drivers and heavy equipment operators and electricians and plumbers and people that do all sorts of things for a living. And no, you don't have to. You just have to want to come to church where there's not barriers that separate people. And there's not different social classes. I think that's the thing. There's no division. No dividing up. And to me, I think the thing that attracted me, and I've been in this now a long time, about 17 years of it. And I think the thing that attracted me so much was the fact that we don't vote on a lot of things. We do things by consensus. Either we all agree to do it, or we just pray till we do.
Yeah.
And we don't have as much division, and we don't try to make everything something that it's not supposed to be. If it's something positive and it's something that we can use to reach lost people, then that's what we want to do. There's a thing that we teach in the schools called the 5C test, and if somebody wants to do an event, whether it be a chuck wagon event or an arena event or anything, we always ask ourselves what about the 5C test? Is it Christ-centered? Is it cost-effective? Is it within the Constitution? Do we have a consensus? And is it culturally relevant? Cowboy churches don't necessarily need to have a bowling night. You really don't need to do that. If you want to do that, you probably ought to go to a First Baptist church somewhere. But if things meet that criteria, then that team, which is is putting it on, which like the arena team or the chuck wagon team, then they don't have to ask anybody. If that team has a consensus to do it and it meets those questions, then they just do it. Yes.
I think it's awesome, and I love the chuck wagon. By the way, they're always out there helping. The floods that were happening. In Kentucky, Mr. Chester, and
and he's getting ready to. He's getting ready to go to Mississippi, where the tornadoes hit, and and we keep we got a chuck wagon for Miss Rebecca over at the Cowboy Church at Jerusalem, where the Ranch of Hope and Healing is. We got them a chuck wagon, and I've got one for Brother Neil Hatfield at Uplands Reach Ministry. That's another Cowboy church near Yadkinville, North Carolina. The Amish people have it now. But when it was donated to us by Joe Lindsay, and Joe, and I thought when he said, I'm going to donate a wagon to help, then I thought maybe, well, this will be another one of those. It'll take $1,800 to get it ready to go. but when I saw that wagon, I couldn't believe it. It was stored on concrete in inside a building.
Oh, see if I can get it.
Had the worst thing about it was it had a few dirt dauber nests on it,
Oh,
and
that's nothing. Clean that off.
but the wood, it didn't need anything. It didn't even need paint. It didn't even need paint.
Mm-hmm.
So we're having the canvas cut and made for it, and a few little things tightened up. And I talked to Brother Neil a couple of weeks ago, and he said that we'd get together and figure out whether he's coming here or I'm going there. And I told him it didn't matter to me. I've been up there once, and they are precious people, and he does a tremendous job. He was one of the speakers at Unhobbled last year, and he wants to do a men's conference, and he called me and wanted to know if could he use that title Unhobble for the men. And I said, well, sure, I want you to use it. If you want to use it, we'd love for you to use it. So he and then we talked about the wagon, but there's a lot of things we do that's a little bit different, but I think the team concept is a big thing. You know, when you have people working together as teams, and people are not afraid to roll up their sleeves and get involved, it helps things a bunch. And so rather than just telling people you need to go do this or begging somebody to take this and do it, you know, we don't do much of that. We think the Lord ought to speak to you about doing something, and if He doesn't, maybe you're not the one that needs to be part of that. So
I remember being in church before where, you know, and a lot of you have probably experienced this, where and Phil and I are always the types that, you know, if nobody else will, we will, but then you have to be careful with people thinking you're hogging up.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
so it kind of puts you in a situation. I really like this way. I really do. It's just, it's easier to deal with. The kids may even learn how to wring chickens' necks.
Oh yeah, that may be something that may come in handy.
Actually, somebody's already on that team at Lookout Mountain.
Well, that sounds about right. That sounds about right.
So when I heard that, I told Phil, I said, I'm in the right church.
Yeah,
I'm in the right
That's
one.
good. That's good. They better not. The price of eggs right now. They better be careful.
Yeah, you better hold on to them.
Hang on to them for a while. But
we got less than a minute before it. Can you believe this? It just goes by too fast. We're going to have to come and you can be on for about 5 hours.
Yeah. Well, I could talk about it for that long. I love what the Lord lets me do and what I get to be a part of. There's a tremendous staff of people. I think there's 8 or 9 of us is all they are that work all over the country, but we serve a board of directors, and they're really a great group of people, and to get to be part of this fellowship. And I say what Jeff Bishop, our executive director, says all the time, because I believe it's true. We are better together. We can do more together. We can accomplish more. We can reach more lost people together than we can if we're not together. So as part of the staff, you know, we actually work for our churches. We work for the churches. You know, the church doesn't answer to me. I answer to them. And so I think would be my parting thought. It's what Jeff always says. We are certainly better together.
I think so too. Great. Thank you so much for watching The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182, Charter Communications, Abundance Television, worldwide. You can find us on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Some great, look at there, Chick-fil-A. One of our new sponsors. Thank you, Chick-fil-A, for being part of this show right here. And thank you for being on the show today. You take care, and I'll see you in just a few minutes with another awesome guest.